we are live.
We're live.
Hello, welcome to the next round of Media Madness. My name is Courtney, and this is...
Rachel.
Yes, we are teen librarians at the Addison Public Library, and this is our second in the series of special Media Madness Twitch streams. So, what is Media Madness, you may be asking? Every March, as inspired by March Madness brackets, we do a Media Madness bracket.
Sort of see.
Which you can sort of see, because daylight savings time also stole our visibility.
Yeah.
Oh well. So we put on the bracket, a quarter of the bracket is dedicated to books, a quarter to movies, a quarter to video games, and then the last quarter goes straight into music. And these are all titles that came out in 2024. Mm-hmm. So, with the exception of one that we kind of covered last year, or last
a little bit more this week.
A little bit more, and and now we have a further justification for why we chose that one. So this is the round of 32 was last week, and if you want to see that, if you're watching on Twitch right now, it should still be live on our Twitch channel. Otherwise, run straight over to YouTube and you can get our first round of everything from there. But this is now Sweet 16. So this is we are going to be going over each matchup, talking about how the votes lined out, and what our next matchups are going to be. So if you are wondering, I'm going to get that posted right now. So if you are wondering how you can vote and how you can participate, there's a couple of ways that you can do it right now. First is when we are going through the varying things on our stream, you can just simply comment in the chats. Do that. We actually count them. We got a little thing to write down and make sure that it goes in. I will say that last week's votes there was at least one race where it really weighed heavily, so that was really good. Yeah. So you can do that, and you can also go onto our online forum. There you go, and you can go through all of the matchups, and you can vote there as well. There's also our socials, which I will say right now, I messed them up. So oopsie doodles. So give me some grace on that one. Or you can come into the library in person and you can vote in here. So yeah.
Lots of ways to vote, and yeah, the votes do matter.
They sure do.
Some of them were very clear, but there were others that came down to a handful of votes.
They really did. Some were incredibly close. Yeah. And as you'll see, as you will be told, as the sun slowly goes down, but we will let you know exactly what's on the screen. So don't feel like you're going to be missing out on that regard, even though the sun stole our visibility. Yeah. Gosh darn. It's just how it goes sometimes. So yeah, if you have any questions or things or like comments or things that you want to vote for, make sure you pop into the chat. We will be engaging there. And yeah, so lots of ways to vote, and there's also like no limit anywhere. You might be like, but I already voted on Twitch. Okay. You can also vote
in all the ways.
In the other ways too. This is for funsies. We're having a good time. You know, like
we just want to talk about some cool stuff that came out last year.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, like I've already consumed some of the stuff, so like we'll get into that. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Shall we get started with our first matchup?
Yeah, let's see what we got.
All right, so going back to last week, our first couple, this is now our Sweet 16. I did make a slide. I didn't trust that I did. Anyway, all right, so leading into our current matchup, our first matchups for last week these are in the books category. In the adult novels category, we had The Women by Kristen Hanna versus The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. Now, The Women got 14 votes. And The Women actually had higher votes online, but The God of the Woods had more votes in person and ultimately racked up 22. So God of the Woods is going on to this week's matchup, and it is going to be competing against the young adult novel. So this was Heartless Hunter versus warrior on the mound. This was a very tight race.
This is the tightest. Yeah.
Very tight. They were completely equal in terms like on socials, but on what does I wrote there? Heartless Hunter had one more vote in person and one more vote on the online form that I put in the link below. So this is Heartless Hunter won 18-16. Yeah. So very
just
tight.
Barely got it.
Yeah, we were quite impressed.
Yes.
So that now brings us to our first matchup, and this is matchup 1, the novels.
So yes, we have our adult novel going against our YA novel here. Mm-hmm. And I can talk a little bit more about the YA novel.
Go for it.
All right. So we did mention last week that it is a witch and a witch hunter.
Yep.
So we've got in the aftermath of a devastating revolution, witches have been diminished from powerful rulers to outcasts ruthlessly hunted due to their waning magic. And now Rune must hide what she is. Pretending to be nothing more than a vapid young socialite, Rune spends her nights as the Crimson Moth, a witch vigilante who rescues her kind from being purged. She decides to throw the witch hunters off her scent and gain the intel she desperately needs by courting the handsome Gideon Sharp, a notorious and unforgiving witch hunter loyal to the revolution, who is secretly using her in return when he learns the Crimson Moth has been using Rune's merchant ships to smuggle renegade witches out of the Republic. He inserts himself into her social circles by pretending to court her right back. He soon realizes that beneath her beauty and shallow facade is someone fiercely intelligent and tender who feels like his perfect match. Except, what if she's the very villain he's been hunting?
My, it's a dramatic one, that's for certain.
This is a classic tale.
Mm-hmm. Of sort of like betrayal. Mm-hmm. Both of them are kind of using the other, but also both of them kind of fall for the, oh no, they're hot.
Like, this is a true enemies to lovers. This is not
absolutely.
Like, oh, we just don't like each other, we're rivals, we're in competition. No, these are enemies.
Yes, very much so. Like one is hunting the other.
Yeah.
And one is thwarting the other and trying to survive at the same time. So very high octane in that way.
Yeah.
This is also book 1. So we have it in person today.
I thought I would bring it just kind of show.
Yeah. So this is book 1. There will be more, obviously. That's what happens with book 1s. There's usually a book 2s.
Yes. It's a duology. It's 404 pages.
Fairly reasonable. Pretty standard for a young adult young adult fantasy novel. Mm-hmm. That does look very fun.
Also dual POV.
Ooh,
so
love
we
it.
get a chapter from Rune's perspective, chapter from Gideon's perspective.
Reminding me of Powerless now.
Yeah.
So, alright. That's good.
There's also a map.
Oh, I love a map.
Fantasy map.
Gotta love a map. Look at that. Speaking of Powerless, if you didn't catch it, I do believe that's also still currently on the Twitch channel, but also it's on our YouTube. We did a book buffet last week, and we talked about all of the items that didn't make the list. Well, not all, but like why some things didn't make the list. And we talked about Reckless, which is the second book to the Powerless series. So if you're curious about like, well, but this is great. This came out in 2024. Why don't we... There's reasons. And turn in there to find out what that was all about.
Yeah.
All right, so then we've got the God of the Woods.
God of the Woods. All right. This is set early morning, August 1975. A camp counselor discovers an empty bunk. Its occupant, Barbara Van Laar, has gone missing. Barbara isn't just any 13-year-old. She's the daughter of the family that owns the summer camp and employs most of the region's residents. And this isn't the first time a Van Laar child has disappeared. Barbara's older brother similarly vanished 14 years ago, never to be found. As the panic search begins, a thrilling drama unfolds, chasing down the layered secrets of the Van Laar family and the blue-collar community working in its shadow. Moore's multi-threaded story invites readers into a rich and gripping dynasty of secrets and second chances.
Yikes. There's a lot there. It sounds like it's a very simple concept with a lot of depth to that story.
Yes.
Yeah,
having read this one, it is, this kid is missing. let's go back in time a little bit. What happened? Oh, were the counselors not really paying attention? Wait a minute, actually there's more there. And then we go back to Barbara's brother, we meet him and see the situation in which he disappeared and what happened there.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, there was like an escaped convict who, was very easy to pin disappearances on.
Oh, sure.
He may be guilty of some things, but probably not all of the things he's being accused of.
Sure, it's easy to do that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so good, mystery, good, family drama type of thing. We mentioned it before, but this is going to be one of the summer reading options this summer. So that's exciting, too. So if you're like, that sounds great, good news.
And I wish I could show you what it looks like physically, but our copy's checked out.
Which is also good news. That means people are currently enjoying it. So that's pretty great. Well, we got the flashing lights again. Anyway, well, that's what happens when you're next to a police department. So those are our current book, novel matchups. They're pretty different, but, it could honestly go either way. I think it's kind of down to, readership in a lot of ways.
Which in person is teens.
In person, it's teens. Most of the people who are voting are teens, that's for sure.
Right now, the YA is winning.
Yeah.
Heartless Hunter's winning.
Heartless Hunter has twice as many votes as God of the Woods, but that does not mean that God of the Woods is out of the race. Votes online or in anywhere else, the votes are not final. This is just our current count, just from the in-person votes.
Yeah, as of 4:30 today.
That's right. There could be more stickers and votes on there right now that we just don't know about. Yeah. So there's a lot going on there. We'll see how that one goes. I'll be very curious to see which one we'll be talking about next time. Mm-hmm. All right, on to our next matchup. This is our young adult novel, graphic novels. These are the graphic novels. So this, the matchups last week were for the graphic novels themselves were Nothing Special versus Seal Before Sunrise. And Seal beat everywhere except on the online form. The online form, Nothing Special had its foothold for sure. But that did not stop Nothing Special getting only 11 votes versus the 20 that Seal Before Sunrise took home. So Seal Before Sunrise is going through, and it is going up against the matchup for our manga and manhwa. These were between The Lady and Her Butler, and a title called Turns Out My Online Friend is My Real Life Boss, which just the title tells you what's up. This one was so close. It literally was 1 point difference, and the in-person votes really pulled it through. So The Lady and Her Butler was 16 votes, and Turns Out My Online Friend is My Real Life Boss walked away with 15. So we are now going on to our next matchup for this week. These are the graphic novels, Seal Before Sunrise versus The Lady and Her Butler.
Mm-hmm. And I forgot to grab Seal Before Sunrise. I grabbed the manga instead.
That's fair. I did flip through Seal Before Sunrise. It is very pretty.
Yeah.
It is very pretty. The art is sort of darker watercolor. Mm-hmm, it's sort of wonderful and mystical, or just there's sort of a little bit of magic that comes with just after night and when everybody's asleep and the world just works a little bit differently. And the story kind of goes in the same way. Do you want to go through them or shall I?
I can talk about the story.
Go for it.
Alright, so we've got longtime friends Songji and Ji-won are excited to begin university in Seoul, swearing to stay close in the big city, but from the moment they arrive, they begin to drift apart. Her focus split between her rigorous accounting program and her overnight job at a grocery store. Songji tries to make peace with the loss. It's during her overnight shifts that she encounters an enigmatic young woman who spends her nights entering the empty homes of other people to paint and photograph these places. Now, the normally rational Songji finds herself swept up in a dreamlike otherworld made up of freedom and creativity. As she explores these quiet places, she uncovers not only an intimate portrait of strangers, but perhaps of herself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very like introspective.
That's it. Yeah. It's sort of like, what do you experience when the world is in a way that no one experiences it? And this girl that she meets is very much like doing things that Seongji is like, no, I'm not comfortable. Like, this is illegal. And this girl is like, nobody, like, it's not hurting anybody. Like, that, it's fine. You know, like
Yeah.
there's kind of like that conflict there. But overall, it's certainly a, like, finding herself moment, you know?
It's like the illustration style reminds me a little bit, this is going to sound really weird, reminds me a little bit of Where the Wild Things Are.
Okay.
This is like a nighttime adventure, but it's like where the mild things are.
Where the mild things are.
Because
It is very gentle.
Soft. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very gentle for sure. So, yeah, which is a drastic difference to The Lady and Her Butler.
Yes. Which that one I do have here in person.
There we go, yeah.
Yeah, like we mentioned last week, this started as a webtoon, so it is
fully in color.
Fully in color. And you can see has that has the anime style, but yeah, in full color and does read left to right.
Yeah.
Like a graphic novel.
Or actually,
I think.
yeah. It reads left to right. I'm bad at directions. Because this one's a manhwa, so those read to left to right. That is true. So this one's like more of like kind of a rom-com. It's like a comedy romancy thing. It's yeah. Anyway.
Well, let's hear about it. Lim Suha is an independent woman who has it all: a busy career, a brand new home, and an ever-growing pile of household chores. The last thing she needs is a man to mess things up.
Mm-hmm.
But that all changes when one walks through her front door, literally. Homeless and desperate for a break, Tae-soo begs Suha to let him stay in exchange for keeping house.
Mm-hmm.
Tempted by the idea of coming home to a warm meal, clean sheets, and ironed clothes, Suha agrees after Tae-soo shows just how capable he really is, and claims to be gay.
Yep.
Could this be the perfect arrangement, or will Tae-soo's lie and Suha's conflicted feelings make a bigger mess? This is Three's Company.
Oh, there we go.
Without the third.
Without the third. Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. It's sort of like constant misunderstanding.
Yeah, this is I need a place to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, it won't be weird that we're a boy and a girl because I am not attracted to you.
Uh-huh.
Just kidding.
JK.
I am.
Oh no. So, very different in tone. This one's sort of like loud and boisterous and just kind of like funny and goes its own way.
Yeah. Like a comedy of errors.
Yeah, so
all sorts of,
Yeah, the matchups on these are very different. It's sort of like, what's your personal flavor?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want more of a like watercolor, introspective, like exploration of the first time on your own, finding yourself as an adult? Or do you want a silly, animated-ish, rom-com-y type of a thing?
Yeah.
And, decide. And it goes between the two of them.
Yeah, what are we looking... Oh.
Yeah, it is pretty starkly different as well in the terms of votes.
Yeah, the graphic novel has it.
The Seal Before Sunrise is really taking off.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be very curious to see where this one ends out. There's a possibility that The Lady and Her Butler will make its way through.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see as we go. All right, so that is it for our books, which is, it's always shocking to me when we go from like 4 matchups to 2 matchups for each category so very quickly.
Yeah, we're now in our top 4 books.
Oh, wow. All right, so now we're on to our movies. So we started off with our animated movies. Our first ones were originally Moana 2 versus Inside Out 2. Coincidentally, both sequels. Moana absolutely dominated in-person voting. However, it was the online votes that secured Inside Out's win, which is shocking.
Still a pretty close win, 33 votes to Moana's 28.
Yep.
So, but yeah, without those online votes, Moana would have had it easily.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, Inside Out 2. Yeah, so Inside Out 2 is our winner for this year, or at least for the animated one. And what it's going up, so those votes, did you say the vote numbers? I got distracted. Apologies. So yeah, they were pretty close, but still it came through. Then we went on to our musical matchup. So this was Wicked versus Mufasa. So in person, it was so close. It was so close I was upset. But with Mufasa had one vote over Wicked, just one. But those online votes properly brought Wicked in. So Wicked had 38 votes to Mufasa's 26. Also, apologies for the video going brighter and then darker. It's that weird in-between time. Yeah. So, it's just, we're doing what we do. The camera does automatically things. Yeah, online votes for the win. Billy, your votes did actually count for things, so good job. So now we are on to our next matchup for this, our movies, and these are the matchup of dynamic cast of characters. So we have Inside Out 2 versus Wicked.
Yes.
So Inside Out 2, I've seen all of them now, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
And you've seen Inside Out too. So if you are unfamiliar with it, you have joy, disgust, fear, anger, sadness, all from
the first movie.
All from the first movie, and now Riley, obviously, our human. So Riley is all of a sudden the puberty alarm goes off, and now we are meeting brand new emotions of anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui, which is boredom.
Which is like a lot of teenagers.
A lot of teenagers. Just like
the characterization of ennui was spot on.
It kind of was great. Ennui was like can control the console through their phone as they just like flop on the couch and just be like, ugh. So that's a really fun movie, and I think it's a great representation of like the experience of the chaos of puberty.
Yeah.
And like when you're growing up and how it just seems to hit you with like a brick wall.
Yeah, and as Riley was going through, I mean, this one had, I think, less of the real life.
Yeah.
And more of her interior.
Yes.
But you saw things happening in the world, which, like, as an outsider, you'd be like, why is that teenager suddenly so mad?
Yeah.
And inside, you're seeing anger take over, and it's like, okay, it makes sense now.
It did, and it also showed like emotion regulation.
Yes.
Where like before, the different emotions would take turns, and they would like press the console, and they were like, you know, and that sort of thing. But this time, they just kind of go like touch, and then like explosion, and just like I barely touched it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a whole new
like the emotions have to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is totally fair. That's how like the mood swings.
Really is. You're getting a whole new brain.
Yeah, it talks about friendship. It talks about, you know, even your anxiety is a tool.
Yes.
You know, it's
There's
something.
A reason why you are anxious.
It is. It's good to have anxiety. Sometimes, like there's a reason for it.
Anxiety should be in the car. Anxiety should not always be driving the car.
No. Anxiety should be like in the back going, we're gonna miss the turn.
Yeah.
like, hey, remember, it's in 2 miles. So like there's a purpose for it, and you know, good job. They did a great job with that one. So that one was up against Wicked. So this is it's like so big it's hard to explain Wicked. So this is based off of a musical that was based off of a book that was based off of The Wizard of Oz, which is based off of The Wizard of Oz, which is based off The Wizard of Oz. You know, many thereupons.
Based on a musical, based on a book, based on a movie, based on a book.
Yeah.
All
of those.
Every generation has
some sort of Wizard of Oz type of a thing. Yeah. So this one is more of a prequel. So you have Elphaba, who, shocker. This is a very tough choice. Ooh, but we're going with the Wicked. All right, we'll mark it down.
Right now.
Marking down one for Wicked. There we go. Dink. So we have Elphaba, who has been dealing with bullying her whole life and is kind of just like she just expects people to treat her like an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
You have Galinda, who has just had everything her whole life and very charmed life, and she just expects that everyone will love her instantaneously, and that she will just be able to walk in and it's not like I demand to get my way, it's more that she can't comprehend any other way.
Yeah.
Like, it's always been given to her. And then you have Prince Fiero, who is like, he strolls in and he's just like, look, you could stress about stuff or you could just party.
Prince Fiero's like, we're here for a good time, not for a long time.
Yeah. Exactly that. And then you've got Nessa Rose, who is Elphaba's sister, who
was actually attending the school that Wicked is
yes,
at.
That is
Elphaba
right.
was not enrolled in school.
No.
At least in the movie. I don't know about the musical, but in the movie, she's not enrolled there.
Oh, in the musical, it's the same.
Okay.
All the plot points are pretty much the same.
She just accidentally gets there.
Right. So Nessa was going to the school. Elphaba has kind of been Nessa's caretaker her whole life, and through a series of events is now attending the school as well. And Nessa has her own kind of dynamic personality. You have Bach, who is like in love with Galinda, but Galinda like manipulates him to like ask Nessa out, so now there's that confusion. Then you've got and even Galinda's friends are like just a force of personality too. And so in the musical, it does not kind of get across that there's various characters that are actual animals. However, in the movie, it is very clear. Like, one of the professors is a goat. And there's a Professor Dillamont, and there's a lot of commentary with that too. So it feels like you'd be going in for a fun, like, oh, it's kind of like Wizard of Oz, but then you find out, like, there's so much.
Yes, no, it's like a whole political system that you're learning about. It's interesting considering the Wizard of Oz as a simple, like, girl away from home meets up with 3 people.
Yeah, and you're kind of like discovering a magical world.
It's a very simple story.
But it is a simple quest.
But this is like, but actually.
Yeah, but actually. This world is far more complex.
Yeah.
And there's the lore, and then this is this is part 1. There's a lot more to come with that. So these two are a really tough choice between them. They are both really like strong in their stories and strong in their characters, but in their own way. And well, we're gonna have to see how it goes. So right now, Willy Billy, you're gonna know how this goes.
Wicked needed that vote.
Wicked needed that vote. So we're just talking in-person votes right now. Inside Out is well ahead, but Wicked it has a chance. It really does. We've not tallied up any of the online stuff yet, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
All right, so next movie matchups. Last week we started up with Deadpool and Wolverine versus Sonic 3. Online votes for Deadpool just couldn't be beat. Or rather, the online votes for Deadpool were pretty good. You do always go for the underdog, but hey, we like that. But the online votes were the in-person votes it just couldn't go. So, for example, the online votes, Deadpool got 17-7. But in person, Deadpool only got 18, while Sonic got 43. So there was just no coming back from that. So total, Deadpool had 36, while Sonic walked away with 50, or ran away with 50.
Yes,
honestly, that actually really very fast. Very fast. You're welcome. Now, that was going up against our beloved franchises, which was Godzilla and Kong, The New Empire, versus Beetlejuice. This one was pretty similar too. So online votes went very strongly for Beetlejuice. They had 14 votes to 6. But the in-person votes went away from Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice only had 11 votes, and Godzilla vs. Kong got 34. Yeah. So total, Godzilla and Kong had 40 votes and only 25 for Beetlejuice. So that means our next matchup is Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire, versus Sonic 3.
Yes.
And I watched both of them last night.
Yes. And we have called this matchup unlikely team-ups.
Because it is. So, do you know anything about these? I am so excited to talk about them.
I have seen Sonic 1.
Okay.
I know who Sonic is.
You know who Sonic is. That's good.
I know who Knuckles is. I know who Tails is.
Yeah.
I know Dr. Robotnik. And I have heard of Shadow because I did grow up in the 90s, so I do know some basic Sonic lore.
Which is fair. So I just binged all 3 Sonic movies in the past, since this weekend. So the Sonic movies are fairly formulaic. They generally start with the scene, and in that in the intro you very quickly find out that's probably the moral of the story. And then you introduce the villains, and then you introduce kind of relationship conflict, which they're going to become friends at the end, and then through the adventure of everything, the moral of the story makes them friends at the end, and then they save the world.
Yes.
But they're very fun. Honestly, they're quite fun. So with this one, Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails are now a team. They are Team Sonic, or if you're Knuckles, you're Team Knuckles. Admittedly, Knuckles is my favorite character. He's hilarious. He's voiced by Idris Elba, and that's hysterical to me. Yeah. So the 3 of them team up, and they find out that there is another superpowered hedgehog who is wreaking havoc. So they're brought in to deal with that. And they're like, hey, we're going to stick together and we're going to work together and it'll be great. We'll make good choices and we won't let bad things change who we are. So then they go and they meet Shadow, who is voiced by Keanu Reeves, which is also kind of great. And they find out that Shadow is way too strong.
Yeah. So
in the ways of going through things, they realize that they kind of need to team up with Dr. Robotnik, who surprisingly is still alive after the first 2 movies. And through many things, the movie happens. I kind of want to leave it at that. I think the memes are pretty strong. There's 2 Robotniks. Admittedly, it's Robotnik, and then you actually meet his grandfather. There's
both played by Jim Carrey.
Both played by Jim Carrey, and there is literally a joke where they were like, you look like me, you look like me. And they're both facing each other, and they go face to face, and they go it's almost like we're played by the same actor at the same time. And it's just dead-eyed into the camera. So they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
The movie knows, that franchise knows what it's doing. Yeah. So it's fun. It's got some energy, it's some silliness, it's a good time. Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. I watched this last night, and I've been thinking about how to explain this movie to you all day. And I'm very excited. So this movie starts off, you've got you've Kong, who is this grizzled, war-torn, veteran who is just trying to live his peaceful retirement out in his new home.
Skull Island.
No.
Not Skull Island.
Not at all. We're not even going to get into it.
Okay.
And you just go about his day. He's getting food. He has a toothache. He has to go to the dentist. And he's just doing his own thing. He's coming back from the dentist, and he finds out that there's this insidious underbelly that's literally of his neighborhood that's literally underneath where he lives. Mm-hmm. And he goes down there, and he's instantly ambushed by gang members.
Okay.
Who use a kid to bait him in.
Sure.
To go and do that. So he beats up the gang members, and then he kind of intimidates the kid to hey, take me to your leader type of a thing, which eventually he does, and that's where he meets not just the gang leader, but he's a insidious, tyrannical crime lord type of a guy who just absolutely tortures his people. So they fight. It does not go well for Kong, and Kong escapes and is helped by some people who live nearby, who are please help us. We're gonna die if you don't help us. But Kong knows, I can't do this by myself. So he's like, I gotta go and get somebody else who's really strong, who is as strong as I am. Well, it can only be my personal rival, who I have so much beef with, and we have so much beef with, that we have agreed that if, so long as we keep out of each other's territory and turf, we'll be fine. But it's the moment that you step into the turf, it is on site. So he goes up and calls out Godzilla, who immediately charges him.
Godzilla, hello.
Yeah, who charges him, and you see him just go like, no, wait, I don't want to fight, I want to talk, and he just gets him.
Yeah.
So they fight for a while, and you can, like, there's a moment where Kong, like, goes from, hey, I don't want to fight, fine, you want to fight, like, I'll go. And while they're fighting, their fight gets broken up by an old buddy of Godzilla's, Mothra.
Of course.
And then they team up to fight the crime lord and defeat that and stuff. But in the process of that, Cairo and Rio de Janeiro are absolutely destroyed because these are 400 feet tall apes and lizards that breathe radioactive fire.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is wild that the Monsterverse has gone on so long. And we just keep making more.
I want to watch them all now.
Yeah, I think I've seen the first 2.
It was a lot of fun.
First 3.
It was a lot of fun watching them without not knowing a single thing about it. And there was like a lot of lore that like I just had to go like, okay. But it was a good time. But ultimately it's just a story about like a grizzled veteran who's in retirement, who's brought out of retirement to deal with an issue. One last hurrah. And now he's got, well, you'll see, but he's got a new pet. Anyway,
alright, so those are unlikely
those are unlikely team ups.
And they are truly teamed up.
They are teamed up, actually. So they are
tied.
Fully tied.
So
1-for-1 tied.
If anyone would like to make a tiebreaker vote,
Billy, you want to make a vote? Get a tiebreaker in there. We can
should go online and vote.
Nudge it up. Yeah, do some voting in there. So if you're really strongly opinionated on this one, or even not, you can vote.
You can vote, even if you're just like, well, his spikes are pink.
Ooh, we got a Godzilla.
There we go.
We'll take it. Yeah, his spikes were pink. It was kind of cool. Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, my description of it was like, I don't know, 20% of the movie.
Yeah, well, there's always so much more that you're like,
there's so much more. It was pretty fun. Alright, so next we're going into our video games. So last week we had our Game of the Year contenders. So those were games that were contending for Game of the Year. So that was Balatro versus Astrobot. There was no way around these votes. Balatro only walked away with 12 votes, while Astrobot had 31.
And was Astrobot also named Game of the Year?
It was. So the votes line up, really.
Yeah.
Balatro did have some good online love, though.
Yes,
so,
yeah. I think the Balatro fans are
they were heard.
True
they
fans.
Were heard. Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Good.
Astrobot
Yeah. Sorry it couldn't go through, but, Astrobot, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Alright, so then we had our cozy games. That was The Legend of Zelda, The Echoes of Wisdom, versus Little Kitty, Big City, and Zelda dominated overall everywhere as well. That was 27 votes to 16 for Little Kitty, Big City. So that brings us to our new nostalgia. So this is Astrobot versus The Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. So these games, I'm going to be talking about the games a lot, I know.
Yeah.
So these games are quite fun. They're also kind of both cozy in their own way. So Astrobot it is sort of like the sequel successor realization of Astro's Playroom, which was a game that came out with the PlayStation 5, and it sort of worked as like a tech demo of like, look what our console can do, while also celebrating PlayStation.
That's fun.
It really was. It was really fun.
Yeah. Is Astro like the PS5 mascot?
Sort of, kind of. Okay. It was kind of like he was used as a vehicle where like he's just this adorable little stubby-legged robot with his big little belly, and he's just like exploring around the universes. And in this, it's very much the same thing, where you go into different planets and different worlds, and you explore these different levels, and you're searching for Astra's lost crew. But you're doing that like through dashing and swinging and rocket punching, and just all. And then there's all these little new power-ups. And so, like, you'll get this special ability, and, like, you use your controller to do different things. And at one point, you're in, like, this gigantic robotic monkey, and you're, like, climbing up the way, or, like, a bouncy ball thing. And it's honestly, it's a lot of fun. And what makes it nostalgic, though, is that throughout the game, you are finding, like, these special bots, and they're characters from famous PlayStation games. Oh. But ranging across the entire catalog of things, all the way from right now, like God of War to like Horizon Zero Dawn, but also like Parappa Rappa and like tons of them, and that's kind of fun too, seeing those little things and like recognizing references, or you'll see like bots in the background and stuff like doing something, and you're just like, oh, that's from that game, I know that. So it's like a fun little celebration of PlayStation in general. Mm-hmm. So that one is up against The Legend of Zelda, The Echoes of Wisdom, which, no, it is not the first time that you can play as Zelda, but it's the only one that's worth playing. And I can say that so confidently. So this is very similar to the 2019 remake of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. It's very similar in style. It's kind of, I think, based off of like the same world overall, but stuff happens. So this is, while rescuing Zelda from Ganon, Link disappears into the Still World after falling into a mysterious rift. Similar rifts appear throughout Hyrule, causing others to disappear into the Still World, including its king and his advisors. Upon Zelda's return to Hyrule Castle, imposters of the king and his advisors frame her for causing the rifts and imprison her in the castle's dungeon to be executed. Zelda escapes with the help from the fairy Tri, who gives her the Tri-Rod and accompanies her on her journey through the Hyrule to repair the rifts and rescue those still trapped in the Still World. So how this works, it's sort of like an adventure puzzler. Mm-hmm. So the little wand lets you sort of like copy items, or like sort of like scans items, and then you can copy and paste them in places, and you can use those items to solve the puzzles. I think the most popular one is a bed, because you can like, it's a 2 space wide one, and you can like make bridges out of it. You can also copy and spawn like monsters and enemies that will then fight for you. Sure. Because you yourself like don't necessarily have a weapon. So it's just you have a wand. You have a Tri-Rod, which is the Triforce is the running theme in that. So there's a lot to this as well. It's its own unique game, but it's played in a way that is, while new, very familiar to sort of like the top-down-ish Zelda games. It's also based off of a game that's a remake of like the older Zelda games as well, like the original ones. So like there's a lot of mix on that regard. So these are, I think, pretty good ones to kind of match up. I'm really not sure where we're going to go with it. So right now, Astro in person is walking away with this one, but I think it could honestly, it could go either way in terms of gameplay.
Like all ages play. Mm-hmm. Not, our other category is going to be more adult games. Yeah. But yeah, these are ones that like, elementary, middle school kids are definitely playing.
And not just that, but like adults are playing it a lot too. Yeah. Like I think it's ones that like younger kids will enjoy and can play, but also high enjoyability for the older crew too. Mm-hmm. And there's references that like I've been playing this my whole life type of a thing too. So that's all fun. All right, so next to our next matchups. So the results of last week, we had our action roleplay games, which was Dragon Age the Veilguard versus Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and Dragon Age had no chance. Yeah. Absolutely, maybe. It might be potentially a branded Media Madness soda.
We have a sponsorship.
For Media Madness.
Media Madness.
Media Madness sponsored that soda. Because I sponsored Media Madness. Where can you get one? Well, so here's the thing. It comes in every flavor. All you have to do is find a can of soda that you wish to consume and tape a piece of paper around it. It works for everyone.
You can print paper at the library.
You sure can.
Can't get soda here, unfortunately.
No,
But we have
that,
paper. You can make your own branding here.
That's right, and I need to keep my energy up.
Yeah.
All right, so back to this. So Dragon Age, the Veilguard, only had 7 votes compared to Like a Dragon's 23. So no chance there.
Yeah.
So Like a Dragon went on through and is going to be going against the winner of our team-ups, which was 2K25 versus Helldivers 2. Very similarly, Helldivers 2 only had 7 votes versus 33 from NBA 2K25. So no going away from that one. So this one is now our matchup is mini game time. So the Like a Dragon series is very, very well known for its mini games. It's someone could properly put in just as much time playing the mini games as they do, if not more time playing the mini games as they do with playing the main story.
Yeah.
I know some people who have one mini game in particular they have put in 100 hours into. And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
But these mini games are also they're wild and they're funny. And like they're referencing things like Animal Crossing and Crazy Taxi and Pokemon and so many, many more. I know for a fact I have not finished them all.
Yeah. Well, and they're just like
I've not even found them all yet.
they're like funny spin-offs of these well-known games, but also like loving. Like, oh, this, Pokemon's a lot of fun. Like, what if we put like a little in-game Pokemon?
Yeah.
Our own variety, our own spin on it.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it's like the Pokemon are like bad guys that you like weirdos that you meet on the street that like attack you. And like this dude who is like the caterpillar, but he's in a sleeping bag that's like zipped all the way up, and he's like just bouncing around after you, and you're just like, what is this?
Yeah.
So it's just fun. They're very good times. Meanwhile, NBA 2K25 apparently has a minigame mode. I learned things.
Why not?
Why not? So the minigame mode mirrors kind of like skill trainings and also like games that you would casually play with your friends. So these are usually like smaller games that you'd play with friends or people more like in your neighborhood. So these are things like shooting frenzy. Yeah, pickup games. So these are like shooting friendly. You can practice your shooting skills from various ranges as you rack up points. And knockout.
Yeah.
Is a popular one. Yeah,
knockout.
Yeah, it's knockout. You have to score very quickly to be the last man standing. You make the basket before the person after you does. Otherwise, you're going to be eliminated. So that's like a game that you play in gym or just with your friends casually or whatnot. So the mini game land is everywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's fun.
Yeah, good for them.
And how is that one doing in?
That one is so we are NBA is gonna
running away with this one also. Dribbling away with this one.
It is dribbling away with this one. I really hope that Like a Dragon makes a comeback.
That one will be popular online.
I hope so. I think it's such a good game. Although last week, NBA also had high votes online. So we'll have to see how this one goes out. But I really love Like a Dragon. It's got a special place in my heart. But I can also see that it's not something that's very well known or very well played. Whereas NBA 2K25,
it's very well known.
It's very well known. It's played against a lot of people. So
I just feel like this one in particular has not been as well received as other NBA games.
Oh yeah, that's the fun thing too. Is Like a Dragon has 5 stars on our catalog, and NBA has 1.
Yeah, yes, the NBA games are fun. I would maybe not check out this one. In particular, if I'm like wanting to play. I don't know which one is
which one's the
favorite.
The top marks on it. But I mean, it's a factor, and perhaps people are voting for I like the series, and I like these kind of games. Like I like the sports games more than I like an action RPG or like a Japanese-based game or things like that.
Yep.
You know, it's very different. Both of these games probably rack up hundreds of hours for drastically different things.
And I would want to see who plays both of these. Like, where's the crossover? Because I do think they are very different gamers.
Very different gamers, and it's all dependent on who's voting.
Yep.
So. All right, well, let's go on. That's it for our video games, and we're going on to our last quarter of the bracket, to music. So this is, our first one was, what did we do? I've already forgotten. It was like crossovers, that was it. So this was Beyonce with Cry by Carter versus Bad Bunny, translated to, I didn't take enough photos. So Bad Bunny took all the votes, just all of them. Beyonce only got 17 votes, 45 to Bad Bunny.
17 is not 0 votes, but
it is not.
It
is not. She had her love. Yeah, there were some people who absolutely chose her, and that is valid. So Bad Bunny will be going up to going against the matchup for the R&B. So that is between Tyler the Creator with Chromacopia and SZA, which was Lana, and Tyler also just ran away with this one as well. So Tyler had 47 votes against 28. And so both of these were very well voted for.
Very well voted for. People had a lot of opinions. Tyler the Creator is one of the artists that we saw in our Spotify Wrapped here at the library.
That is true.
So we know you have fans.
So was Bad Bunny.
And so was Bad Bunny.
That.
So yeah, we kind of assumed those would be the two that would come out with it.
And so it was. So these are our origin story.
Yes. So the Bad Bunny album is our one entry that technically came out in 2025.
Yes, but we now have found out of recent thing that we can justify even more.
Yes, it was released on Three Kings,
yeah.
Which is January 5th, I believe it was this year.
Yep.
Three Kings is Puerto Rican Christmas.
Yeah.
It is a very popular holiday in Puerto Rico, celebrated, I would say, more widely than Christmas. Yeah. It's just like celebrated more communally, maybe. You know, there's fireworks, there's parades, there's all sorts of food and celebration. So even though it was 2025, it's the 2024 holiday season.
And therefore, the same 2024.
Yes. But it does make sense that that's when he chose to release it, as this album is a love letter to Puerto Rico.
Which I love that. Like, that's good information to know.
I think that's a beautiful little Easter egg.
Yeah.
A lot of the tracks talk about, wanting, I should have taken more photos, I should have, been grateful for my time here, I miss you, I don't want you to be ruined by climate change, by tourists, by people moving in who don't have the same history. That's what this whole album is really about.
Yes.
It peaked at number 1 on the Billboard 200, which is the list of albums. It's currently at number 6, and it has been on the chart for 9 weeks, which I believe means it's been on the chart since it was released in January.
Yeah, I think that's right.
How many weeks?
So on the chart and counting.
And counting, yes.
Yeah, I think that's certainly the newest album in the lineup.
Yes.
So we have a ways to go for that one. And you said earlier that the Billboard 100 is for singles, but the Billboard 200 is for albums.
For albums, yeah. So I'm sure we could look at specific titles, specific tracks from this album, and see where they are on the Billboard 100.
But that sounds like a commentary for next week.
Yes. If Bad Bunny makes it, we'll dive in further. We'll talk about some specific tracks.
And if Chromacopia makes it, we'll do that, but then for them.
Yes. So Chromacopia was released in October, so it's been out a little bit longer. Tyler, the Creator, is currently on tour with Chromacopia, I believe, most recently in LA.
Okay.
This is another very personal and vulnerable album. There are multiple genres represented. We had put him in the R&B category, which we just had to kind of like put him in there, even though
needed to fit somewhere.
Not every track is R&B. There's of course rap and hip hop and some pop influences there. And Doechii makes an appearance on the album. So
I have heard that one. Yeah.
Doechii made it
in one way or the other. Doechii is here. She's here with us.
Yeah. Chromacopia also peaked at number 1 on the Billboard 200. It's currently at 18. It has been out longer, so it's had other things
a little bit more
taking the space. But it has been on the chart for 19 weeks, which again I think is
pretty good.
Since it's been out, it has stayed on the top 200.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of origin stories, as we said, the Bad Bunny was sort of like connecting with Puerto Rico and Puerto Rican roots versus
his ancestry, but also his country's history.
That's right. And versus Chromacopia was like about his mother.
Yes, far more personal.
Yeah, far more personal.
Me, Tyler the Creator's history and origin. Yeah.
So these I think are also a fairly tough choice. I think we've got pretty strong opinions on who's gonna walk away with it.
Yeah.
But so far the race is fairly close. It could go either way, honestly. So Bad Bunny is currently in the lead for in-person votes, but that can change drastically no matter what.
Change.
All right, and then our last result. So last week for pop, it was Rosé versus Billie Eilish. Even on the online forum, Billie dominated, so it was even across the board. So they both had equal votes on the online forum, but Billie Eilish dominated everywhere else.
Yeah.
So Rosé had 13 votes versus 49 for Billie Eilish. And then our rap was Kendrick Lamar versus Doechii, and we absolutely wanted Doechii. We did. We had our own underdog vote there, Willy Billy. We did.
Yeah.
But too bad. So they also were very even on the online forum. They had this equal amount of votes, but Kendrick Lamar dominated everywhere else. And this was also during the week that Doechii released Anxiety, which is great. And some kids were in that room just an hour ago listening to it on repeat.
Yes. And that did get her some extra votes at the end.
It did. There was one kid in particular who was listening to the song, and we were like, oh, well, there's voting. And they went, where? And then put a vote on there for Doechii.
Unfortunately, not enough.
No, not even close.
Kendrick Lamar wave.
Good try, though. Good try.
Yes.
It's almost like Doechii was like, I need my shot. Let's release a single.
Like we said, she sort of made it with Tyler. So
yeah. So, she's in there. She's still in the race. So now we are on to our last matchup of the week, and this is our household names category. So this is Billie Eilish versus Kendrick Lamar.
Yes, so Billie Eilish released Hit Me Hard and Soft in May of 2024, so this is the oldest album we've got here. She is also currently on tour. And yeah, we call this matchup household names because these are two pretty well-known people, specifically within this past year. Their popularity has just skyrocketed. And Billie too, the last 2 years, she was very big in the summer Barbie. She had the single from the Barbie movie.
Immediately it's in my head.
Sorry. But yeah, her songs are in a lot of pop culture. The Barbie movie, Heartstopper. There's been movies and TV shows that use her music. She's also has been a part of the one thing that she does like every single year where they interview her, and they've done it since she's like 15. I can't remember. It's a magazine that's like when she first came on the scene, they were like, we're gonna interview you as a teenager, and they've every year kind of checked in with her.
I didn't know that. That's kind of cool.
And I can't remember the name of the.
I'm sure someone in the world knows.
Someone knows, and it'll be an easy Google. We'll figure it out. The name escapes me right now. So yes, she's
Vogue.
just
Vogue.
Yes. See, and
Thank
you.
you.
It was like Vulture, Variety. I knew it was a V something. Yes. But yeah, so she's pretty well known. But yeah, this album peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200. It is currently at 11. It's been on the charts for 42 weeks.
Woof.
Like I said, this is the oldest one.
42 weeks and at 11 is pretty good.
Pretty good. And specifically her singles and the tracks from the album do keep also charting on the Billboard 100.
True.
So yeah, she's still definitely in the culture. Kendrick, we've got his album GNX. And also, it's just in general his beef with Drake. And the Super Bowl halftime show.
That's kind of a factor.
Yeah, so his album was actually a surprise release. He had not mentioned that he was working on an album. The only thing we knew he was working on throughout 2024 was dissing Drake. Like, that is what he was working on, and he was releasing these songs, days and weeks apart. But then, in November, he said, and also, here's an album I've been working on, which included none of the diss tracks. There's a whole separate project that he was doing.
Yeah.
The album does feature SZA, so she also kind of
made it in, And
I
like these people who are just like, me too.
Yeah. So she will join him on tour, and she also did join him at the Super Bowl, where he played, a mix of new and old stuff.
Yeah, which was very fun.
It was very fun. Mm-hmm. And so GNX peaked at number 1 again. It is currently at number 1, and it's been 15 weeks on the chart,
which is also very impressive.
Yeah.
I think the Super Bowl really attributed to that, because I still hear people quoting aspects of that show.
Yeah, he had a real strong, last summer we were all talking about the beef, and then after he released the album, then it was like, bang, I'm doing the Super Bowl, bang, I'm doing the Grammys.
Yep.
I'm winning all the Grammys.
Yeah,
so
good for him.
He has really just...
Yeah. So, strong presence overall. Yeah. And both of them, have a massive hold on each of their audiences, I think.
And they've both established themselves now for a while, but are kind of having resurgences, I would say. Yeah.
So we'll see where this one goes. I think it could go either way. But right now, it's
Kendrick.
Right now it's Kendrick, yeah. But that does, Billie Eilish is not that far behind. So we will see. There's some kids that I know haven't actually been in here yet this week.
Some Billie fans specifically.
Some very big Billie fans specifically. So we'll probably see them pretty soon. Those votes will come up. And again, we've not seen the online votes yet, but these are just the preliminary votes as we've seen them so far. Yeah. So that is our bracket currently for Sweet 16. And it's going to be some very interesting matchups. I'm real curious to see how this one goes out. Yeah. And where we'll be at the end of this one. So make sure that you vote. I will drop that. Or actually... Yeah, here we go. So if you have not voted on this stream itself, you can vote in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. I will check that at least until this Saturday.
Voting is open through Sunday.
Yes. Or check the link that's currently in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the comments, or in the description. There we go. So make sure you check that out and get voting. That's how we get these things going. And honestly, it's fun. So why not? Why wouldn't you? Yes. You don't have to vote for every single thing. I didn't make it required because that's annoying. Yeah. So vote for what you like.
Even if you've not read, watch, listen.
Yeah. And check our socials too. That's also a great place to vote as well. Or if you're in person, go vote as well. It's all in the teen area. You can see the posters there, see how that's going. We've got a massive bracket that's up, which is also quite fun.
If you don't see any stickers, find someone. We will give you some stickers.
We will give you some stickers. That is absolutely true. We also have, I put in the chat, if you want to check out where to find any of the titles that we've been talking about, we have them in a handy little list on our catalog, and there's a link to that, so you can just go through there and find everything, or at least see right away if it's checked out or not. Yes. For instance, The God of the Woods is checked out, but Heartless Hunter is not. So, ways to find out. Alright, so our next stream that you will be able to find and watch us and learn what has happened next is going to be next Tuesday, and that is March 17th, or rather, the next stream is on March 18th at 5:30. So that is where you will be able to start voting on Twitch, but we will already have started voting for the next round the day before. So there's the whole shenaniganery in the chat. So
it's called madness for a reason.
It is called madness for a reason.
Yeah.
So the upcoming streams are Elite 8. We're starting voting for that on Monday, March 17th. And then the Twitch stream for that will be on the 18th. And that's at 5:30. The final 4 we're going to announce the following week. So in-person voting starts Monday, March 24th. But the Twitch stream will be on the 25th. And then the championship will be announced. So you can start voting for that in person March 26th. And then the Twitch stream will be March 27th during Book Buffet in the morning. And then the winner announcement, we announce that in person on that Friday. However, on Twitch we will announce it on April 1st during our Let's Play stream, and that one's going to be at 4:30. So that'll be a lot of fun, and we're excited. So yeah, that's the jam, friends. And we have gone through quite a lot of content.
Yeah.
And each time we're going to be chatting about different things about each of these items. And I'm thinking next time you want to do a 1-star, 5-star reviews of each of these.
Oh, that would be fun.
Would that be fun? Like look up some
Yeah.
1-star reviews and 5-star reviews for every single, like for the matchups, and maybe that'll help us decide. I don't know.
Because we've kind of gone over the basics of everything at this point.
Yeah,
so
and we'll find more information too on some stuff, and maybe some tidbits and like factoids of things that you might not have known.
Yeah.
After all, eventually we're going to be down to 4 or 2 things that we're going to have to be able to talk about for a while. So who knows what we will find? We don't know what we will find. All right, well, thank you all for spending the time with us and for tuning in, for voting. Thank you for voting. And we are going to see you next time. Everyone have a great day. Bye.
Good night.